2 weeks after Hamas was supposed to have returned all 48 hostages, living and deceased, Egypt has stepped in to help with excavations to retrieve 13 missing bodies, 2 of whom are Americans, as the remaining live hostages leave the hospital for home. Here's the latest on these stories and more. Israel is allowing an Egyptian team with heavy equipment into Gaza to help search for the bodies of 13 remaining Israeli hostages.
This is a technical team only, and none of these personnel are in the military. Now, the Red Cross and the Egyptian team are allowed entry beyond the IDF's yellow line position into Gaza territory to conduct the search for our hostages.
All 28 bodies should have been returned 2 weeks ago, but Hamas says they can't find them. President Trump warned Hamas on Saturday he was watching very closely to ensure the terror group returns more bodies in the next 48 hours. He wrote on Truth Social, Hamas is going to have to start returning the bodies of the deceased hostages, including 2 Americans, quickly, or the other countries involved in this great peace will take action. Before leaving Israel for Qatar, Secretary of State Marco Rubio met with the families of 2 American hostages whose bodies are still held in Gaza. He said the U.S. will not rest until their and all remains are returned. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu made it clear that Israel's security is in its own hands, and it will decide which countries take part in the peacekeeping force in Gaza.
We've also made it clear regarding international forces that Israel will determine which forces are unacceptable to us, and this is how we operate and will continue to operate. This is, of course, acceptable to the United States as well, and its most senior representatives have expressed in recent days Israel is an independent state. We'll defend ourselves with our own forces, and we will continue to control our destiny.
The last 5 living hostages freed 2 weeks ago left the hospital Sunday and received a hero's welcome in their communities. Meanwhile, the U.S. relief agency Samaritan's Purse, headed by evangelist Franklin Graham, sent a 767 airlift of food, blankets, and solar lights to the women and children of Gaza. Graham said Hamas held captive not only the 250 hostages taken on October 7th, but also the people of Gaza.
There's over 200,000 packets of food that is been fortified. It's enriched with protein and so forth. It's a supplemental food, but it helps save life. This plane is going to be a lifesaver for a lot of people.
Samaritan's Purse sees the plane load of supplies as a tool God can use to show his love to the people of Gaza.
Israel had hoped for the return of another hostage's body. However, the Health Ministry's National Center of Forensic Medicine determined that the body is not one of the 13 who remain in Gaza, but additional remains of a hostage that's already been returned. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said this constitutes a clear violation of the agreement by the terrorist organization Hamas. It's now been a week since Hamas last turned over a hostage. Netanyahu will convene a meeting today to discuss Israel's response. Meanwhile, there's evidence that the Palestinian Authority, despite promises to reform, continues its pay-to-slay policy of paying terrorists who attacked Israel. Itamar Marcus from the watchdog group Palestinian Media Watch confirmed this. Payments proceeded as usual, and recipients confirmed receiving half their monthly stipends. This comes months after European leaders praised what they believed were reforms and pledged more than $230 million in new funding to the PA. Back in September, Netanyahu told Fox News that he did not expect the Palestinian Authority to change.
Pay for slay, they pay terrorists to murder Jews, and the more Jews they murder, the more the pay. If all of that is turned on its head, there's a tremendous transformation, well, good luck. Some people will believe it happens. I don't think it's going to happen.
Turkey's President Erdogan continues his push for a role in Gaza under a proposed international stabilization force. But Israeli leaders say no way, citing Erdogan's open defense of Hamas and his support for its leaders.
Erdogan led hostile approach against Israel. So it is not reasonable for us to let their armed forces enter to Gaza Strip.
Speaking from Air Force One, with President Trump at his side, Secretary of State Marco Rubio showed continued solidarity with Israel.
Israel didn't surrender its right to self-defense. Obviously, the ceasefire is based on obligations on both sides.
Even Gulf states like Saudi Arabia and the UAE oppose Erdogan's plan, fearing it would empower instead of disarm Hamas. In Qatar, there are revelations that the government's main spokesman has applauded past Palestinian terror attacks against Israel. Joshua Swanson, CBN News, Jerusalem.